Have you noticed how Heather's got like this amazing like office area, and you and I look like we just kidnapped a high schooler?
Even high school. I mean, we've got the wood paneling in the background. I feel like we're in a like gonna eat somebody.
It puts the lotion on its skin.
Yes.
It does give off some serial killer vibes, I'm not gonna lie.
This is Forever Spooky Season. Today we're speaking to Heather Wylde. Today's episode is not recommended for young listeners, people who are offended easily, or people with no sense of humor. Everyone else, please enjoy and stay spooky.
For what we're doing, like creepy works out pretty good though, you know?
It does work out. Okay, so how do we do this?
I don't know, it's first time for us. We're shooting the shit.
Okay.
But specifically, we're talking to you about experiences you've had with the paranormal. You have to say it slowly, the paranormal. Paranormal. My wife has brought me a pancake.
That sounds like paranormal.
Can you bring me the pancake? Watch your step, it's dark and spooky.
Oh, I can bake it.
Hey, Heather, say hi to Brittany. That's my wife, but she's running away from. Oh, the baby's upstairs. That's why.
Hi, Brittany.
I now have food while I'm talking.
There's
Nice.
You want some food?
No. I ate on the way here.
This is gonna be rude as hell.
Oh,
But
You can edit food out.
no, I can't. This is all going in. I'm talking with a mouthful and everything. This is awesome. Also, she got the other end of the fork in the syrup.
I mean, we could start in like 10 minutes if you want to eat.
No, we've already started. Also, like, as long as it's sitting here and there's bacon, it's gonna get eaten.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. Yeah, so the two biggest paranormal experiences, three biggest paranormal experiences. I saw a ghost when I think I was around 7. And also around that same age, I had an experience where I had a precognitive dream that came true. That scared the crap out of me. And then when I was in my 30s, I got slut shamed by a demon. So where do you want me to start?
Well, honestly, I mean, if you got time, you can talk about all of it. If you don't have a lot of time, you can pick the fair one out. Personally, if you don't have a lot of time, I'm going to go with slut shamed by a demon, because you sent me the description of that. And I was like, holy shit, there's no way we're not talking about that. I almost called you immediately to go, slut shamed by a demon. You think demons would be cool with that too? Like, hey, keep it up.
Right? Sluts, awesome. Yeah, so what happened was I was living in an apartment in the like Little Five Points area, and my roommate at the time is like a natural medium, and he's not like happy about it, but like entities mess with him, you know. And so he had a lot of like weird seeing things out of the corner of his eye, you know, that kind of stuff while we lived there. But I didn't really experience anything. And I was doing sex coaching at the time. And so I was doing a video, was going to record a video about how to properly and more pleasurably use condoms, right? And I guess, I don't know why I just left it recording, but I just left it recording. And when you listen to the playback, it sounded like you were like not in the crowded room, but maybe like in a room next door to like a crowded conference room with like hundreds of people in it. And like you couldn't pick out anything anybody was saying, but it just sounded like that soft, like rabble, you know, of a bunch of people talking. And so that was odd, because there was nowhere in my apartment we could have fit that many people, for one thing. And for another thing, like I was there by myself. And I I guess I had set everything up. I had my lights set up. I had the camera rolling, and then I was like testing, my makeup and all that stuff. And I can't remember if it's when I walked out of the room or when I came back in. But on the video, you hear this the murmur of all the voices, and then you hear this voice go, "Slut," and it's super like low. It just sounded demonic. I have no idea what it was, but it sounded demonic. And I was like, holy shit. So I showed my roommate, and he was like, he could hear it. And he was like, that's fucking creepy. And so we showed other people. We're like, what do you think it said? And they're like, it sounded like it called you a slut. I was like, I know.
So I'm curious now, just for what the ghost and or demon was looking at, were you describing, or did you have like a banana where you're like,
gosh, was I using any props? I might have
some
had
random guy you found outside, like, hey, can you come in here for a minute?
No, definitely not. No, I might have had like a dildo, like set aside for, to show how to actually put the condom on or something. Because why use a banana, for the love of God? But
Comedy.
for comic effect, just not to offend anyone. We're talking about sex, but we have sex with bananas. Whatever. Yeah.
Don't slut shame Jeremy.
I would never.
No, okay.
I would never. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, this happened years ago, and I searched for the video because I'm like, I had to have kept that, but that was like 4 laptops ago. So God only knows, right, where it went. But yeah, like, I think like, I want to say I was sitting in front of the computer, and I was like dressed, but I didn't have a shirt on. I just had like a bra on when it did it. I don't know. Like, I don't remember all the details, but I remember like several people watched the video, and everybody heard it, and everybody was like, that was creepy as fuck. And
I just want to point out that would probably be the only thing that would distract me from a young lady in just a bra. This demonic voice going slut, like, okay, now back to this.
Now back to this.
But you would have watched the video.
I would have watched the video. I can't
Yeah.
now. My wife will yell at me.
I know I can't find the video, but it was weird. Like, it was definitely fucking weird. I was like, okay, because it wasn't that I didn't believe my roommate, because he's not the type of person to like make shit up, but it was just like, okay, I'm sorry that's happening. I don't know what to do about it. I think we like smudged the apartment a few times, and like, but that area of Atlanta, there's signs all over the place being like, this battle for the Civil War happened here. This battle, so like a lot of people died in that area. So I was like, yeah, it makes sense. Like, we moved to Brookhaven a couple years later, and his experiences with paranormal stuff went down significantly. So which it made sense. But yeah, that's my slut shaming by a demon or deep-throated ghost.
Deep-throating ghost.
No, it was like slut. Like, it was so deep. Like, I can't do it.
Slut. I was gonna use that dildo.
Slut.
That's but that's still got to be like, did you have a hard time like sleeping in the house after that, or was it just kind of like, well, it said its piece, it's probably gone now?
I remember being creeped out by it, like when I would watch it, but I don't remember like having problems sleeping or anything after that. It was kind of like, it was creepy, but it was kind of funny. It was just like,
Yeah.
What the fuck?
It's also like the most like, if it was a demonic entity, it's like the most pointless demonic entity. It's like, I'm gonna make her feel slightly awkward for like 2 seconds, and then I'm going away.
I can't speak to its motivations. I just know I was like, what did you just say to me? Like, weird, I don't know. It was odd. It was just odd. So that's that story. And then, like, I did see a ghost when I was around 7. So you have to understand, the street that I grew up on, kids died on the street like every few years. I don't know. It was like Nightmare on Elm Street or something, but like, a girl had died getting out of the She was at the lake with her family, and as she was getting out, she got struck by lightning. I did not know her. A few years after that, a boy that was like a big brother to me, he was also electrocuted / struck by lightning. And he was like, I don't even know if he was 13. Like he was older than me, but he wasn't very old at all. And then like 3 or 4 years after that, another kid died, on one of our rare snow days. He and a bunch of kids were sledding using an old, because we're redneck kids. I wasn't there, but I'm just saying, like, we're redneck kids. He was using, him and a bunch of kids were using a car hood as a sled, because why not?
Oh, that would work.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got the weight, like it wasn't a bad idea, except that on one of the runs they hit a tree and it caused his head to snap back and killed him. And then actually became, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I hate to say it because it's not funny in the least, but there's a part of me that was just thinking, and he got hit by a tree and then struck by lightning.
Oh, no. He just got hit by a tree. The two others previously got struck by lightning.
That's just weird on its own, though.
The girl was struck by lightning. My friend Joey was standing in his parents' chicken house, and there was kind of some debate as to whether maybe he touched something electrical and he was standing, or he got struck. Regardless,
but he was still electrocuted.
He died by electrocution, yeah. And then then the sledding accident happened, and then after that, I became convinced that I was next. There was a day in high school that I just woke up and I was like, this is it. This is the day it's going to happen. And I like ran all over campus. Like, we had so many trailers that we were in, so like you had to go outside. And I was like, I'm going to get struck by lightning today, but it didn't happen. And, but not too long, like within a year of me having that freak out day, a trailer burned down and killed like 3 kids. So there's something wrong with the street I grew up on. Like,
now where was this at?
It's AC Smith Road in North Cumming, so it's almost to Dawsonville.
Okay, I know I've been down that road. I'm glad I didn't stay.
Right. If you're on 400, it's Jotham down, and once you cross over Highway 9, it turns into AC Smith. So that's the environment that I grew up in. There was a old woman that lived across the street, and my mom was like friendly with her, and she had like her house she lived in, and then there was like an abandoned house like on the property. And my mom said that she saw a ghost of a little girl there one morning, like before we were going to school. I did not see that one, but later that summer, I used to love to be awake in the mornings. I don't know why. I hate it now. Maybe this is why. No, I don't think so. But like when I was really little, I loved to wake up and watch morning cartoons. And like the Great Space Coaster, that was my shit. Do you remember that show?
Yeah. I wasn't a big fan of those particular cartoons. Like I was one of those that was like, I would watch like, that shitty Rambo cartoon and all that when those were going.
I don't remember Rambo. I remember like Transformers and Thundercats. That was the shit.
Oh yeah.
G.I. Joe, He-Man, She-Ra, like, like the Channel 46 cartoons.
Rambo, Chuck Norris, he had a cartoon.
What?
Mr. T had a cartoon.
What?
RoboCop had a cartoon. The fucking Toxic Crusader had a cartoon.
What channel were these on?
You had to find them because they lasted for like a season, sometimes half a season, and then vanished.
Okay.
But go on YouTube. You can still find them. They're there.
Wow. Okay. All right. I have been... What?
So then Heather just runs off screen.
Hold me back.
A bowl of cereal, quick.
Cartoons. Yeah, no. So I would wake up, like I would set an alarm so that I could wake up and I could go watch the Great Space Coaster, which now that I think about was not a cartoon. It was just a kid's show, right?
Yeah.
So I set the alarm, and it was one of those like wind up alarms, cheap wind up alarms, that you can't turn it off. It just has to like wind until it shuts up, right? So I was asleep on the top bunk. My sister was in the bottom bunk. The alarm went off, and I sat up, and there was this boy standing at the end of my bed, and I could see him, and he was in color, but I could also see through him.
Hmm.
And I couldn't hear him, but he was laughing at me. Like he scared me, and he thought that was funny. And so I was just kind of like frozen, looking at this thing on the end of my bed. And it was like he was like standing on the floor with his arm propped up on the top bunk, like, so he didn't try to come at me. He didn't really move, but I could see him laughing. And the
Casual
alarm,
ghosts are the worst ghosts.
what?
Casual ghosts are the worst ghosts.
It's almost creepier, right?
I mean, I said it in a comedic way, but no, I'm actually serious. Like the ones that, if something darts across the room, it's jarring. If something pops up in front of you and disappears, it's frightening. If something's just standing at the end of a hall staring at you, doesn't move, doesn't react, that's scary as shit.
You're right.
You don't know how to react at that point.
Yeah. It's like, do you run? Do you wait? What do you do at that point?
Right. Well, I just froze, and I sat there just like looking at it, and the alarm was still going off. And as the alarm started to like wind down, he turned his head and he looked at the wall. And then when the alarm went off, he just disappeared. And I was like, so like I jumped back, I like jumped under the covers and like covered up my head, and I stayed there for a little while. And then I finally like was like, okay, I want to get up. And it shook me up though. Like I told my mom, she believed me. I went and like, I thought maybe it was a neighbor playing a joke on me or something. And I went and I asked his mom, I was like, was he awake? But like, there's no way. Like it would have had to be this elaborate like thing with a projector. Like, I don't even think the technology existed. This would have been in like 1984 or something, or like 1982. So the technology didn't even exist.
You would have to perform a Pepper's ghost type situation, but it would have to be angled in such a way that it can actually make contact with something. And in order for somebody to set that up, it ain't happening.
Right. Yeah.
But
like there would have been evidence, right? And there was nothing. And so yeah, that scared the crap out of me. And that combined with the whole thing about the precognitive dream, I think I shut down my like psychic abilities after that, because I was like, whoo, this is scary.
I think if I ever found out I had any sort of psychic abilities, I would shut it down the day I found out. Nothing would even have to happen to be like, oh, I might be psychic. That's done. I've seen a lot of movies. It never ends well.
And I think that's valid. On the other hand, I think that for some people, like pushing down their gifts, I think it actually is harmful. And I think it has been for me. I just haven't known like what to do with it, So the precognitive dream, I was 6, 7, 8 years old. I don't know. And I would have dreams, and I would have a lot of deja vus, and I'd be like, oh, this has happened before. Oh no, I dreamed it, right? So we're at my dad's house, and it was, I don't remember it being like, it must have been some kind of holiday because the whole family was there, but it wasn't like Christmas or anything like that. But like the whole extended family was there, and my dad's family were like a bunch of smart asses. Like just, it was like, you had to look around the table before you took a bite at Thanksgiving, because somebody might say something and you might choke. Like they were really, really funny, like a whole just group of smart asses. And so we're in the living room, and they're just bandying, just having like this just very lively conversation, and all being a bunch of smart asses. And all of a sudden I was like, oh wait, this has happened before. I dreamed this. And I knew who was going to say what and in what order they were going to talk. And so I was really amused at first. And I was like, okay, my cousin Jeff's going to say something. Okay, now my aunt's going to say something. Now my grandma's going to say something. And then my grandpa, and then my dad. And I was just looking, and like, that's who would talk. And it was really amusing. But the longer it went on, I like remembered how the dream ended. In the dream, at the end of it, I said something and I got in really bad trouble for what I said. And so I was like, aha, I know how to beat this. I'm just not going to say anything. And so it was this, just very lively banter, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth thing. And all of a sudden it got to the last person to speak, and I knew I was going to say something next. And I was like, and all of a sudden this conversation that had been so lively ground to a halt. And it was like the world stood still. And like nobody was saying anything. And in my poor little, like 6-7-year-old mind, I was like, is this like the Twilight Zone? And like, if I don't speak, like time stops, it's like, they're like, nowhere. It freaked me out. I was like, because it just like nobody moved, nobody spoke. And I mean, in these moments, especially as a kid, it might have only been for 10 seconds, but it felt like it went on for forever. And I was just like, oh. And so I panicked. And instead of just saying something different, like, like my first experiment was to just not say anything, and that wasn't working out. A smarter second, thing to have done would have been to have said something different, but I panicked and I said what I said in the dream, which I don't remember what it was, but apparently was very inappropriate. Imagine that. And I got in trouble. And I just remember like, we weren't big into church, but like we did go to church, and we went to like these awful backwoods, like hellfire and brimstone churches, right? And so I was like, well, what if there's something wrong with me? Like, this is the devil. I need to like stop. And after that, I've had a couple other precognitive dreams, but like not very many. I think I just shut that shit down. So Tim, I don't know, and Jeremy, obviously I don't know because we're just meeting, but how did you get into being into the paranormal stuff? And you say you haven't seen ghosts, but you're fascinated by it.
So me?
Yeah.
Actually, we've had I don't talk about it a lot, but I've seen some things as a kid, and as I logicked it out of my head, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah.
But when I was a kid, I've always been subject to night terrors, and I still am to this day.
Ooh.
So what I would do is if I would try to find something scary to read or watch, and I figured if I read about it, the chances of it actually happening are slim.
Interesting.
So like when I was living in Stone Mountain, we had moved from Rockmart to, let me see, where do we go? Rockmart, Marietta, Stone Mountain. And I wasn't used to city life, and there was like, we had a neighbor get robbed, another neighbor get raped twice. And it was new to me because in the sticks, you might get accidentally shot.
Right.
You might get lost in the woods and die. That happens from time to time. You might get run over. But the just straight up robbed really didn't happen all that often, at least not in my experience at the time. Now, it's changed a lot now.
Yeah.
But so I remember when I was really young, I woke up and I was dead awake. And I know this because after what I saw, I got out of bed, but I saw a shadowy figure who I thought climbed through my window.
Ooh.
And I was paralyzed with fear. And it took 3 steps, and like what you experienced, it stopped and was standing in front of my bed. Now, this thing was 100% shadow, though.
Okay.
No features. It was just a shadowy, it had a man's figure, I guess. And then after a while of staring at me, it held up a hand as if to do this, and then turned and started walking towards where my parents were, like the hallway. My parents were in the room over here. My sister was in the room right down there, and he just turned and started walking. And when I finally got up enough gumption, because I wanted to go run and get my dad,
Right.
I got out of bed and my feet were just jelly. Like I was almost hitting the floor. I was so terrified. And when I turned the corner, he had made it to the living room where it was lit up by street lights. And by the time he got to the center of the room and directly in front of, like, we had one of those giant ass consoles that we all had in the 80s.
Yeah.
With a record player and shit in it.
Entertainment center.
I would kill to have that thing, by the way. But he got to the center of all that to where the moonlight was and fizzed out. And I didn't sleep at all that night.
No.
And, for years and years, I couldn't figure that one out. And I think the last thing we experienced that was kind of weird, which I can easily explain away, was when my little brother was born. We were still in that house, and we set up a, one of those old timey like walkie-talkie systems so you can hear into the room, a baby monitor.
Yeah.
My brain forgets the simplest of words, man.
Little walkie-talkie thing.
Yeah, but we had a baby monitor, and my little brother was born extremely premature. He was on one of those systems that like had stuff attached to him, so if anything was moved, it would beep as if he was dead. So my sister and I were sitting in there. I think mom and dad were in the kitchen for something. I'm not entirely sure where they were. But we were just sitting over there in the living room, and suddenly we could hear a woman's voice in my little brother's room. And she didn't sound very happy, but we couldn't make out what she was saying. And she almost sounded like she was choking out the words. And I could also hear my brother cooing.
So he was happy.
Well, yeah, as far as I can tell.
Happy cooing. Yeah, like cooing, I always think is kind of a happy noise.
Well, the thing is, babies just kind of make noises.
Yeah.
My son's upstairs making noises right now. Like you can hear him from down here. But so that was weird. But I thought those things picked up signals from everything.
Right.
But then it kind of made a gurgled laugh, and then his alarm went off. Everybody in the house broke their necks getting to that room. And all it was one of his stickers was off.
Oh. But that's weird. That's fucking weird. And I do.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I do think like that stuff that happened with the demon slut shaming, like you couldn't hear it ambient. You could hear it on this recording. And so I do think that recordings, electrical stuff, I think it's easier for them to kind of manipulate that than it is just kind of air. I don't know. Creepy.
Yeah, but as an adult though, like, I don't know, part of me, I think the reason why I try to logic it out is it makes it easier to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Especially like with children. Do you have any kids in your life? I know you don't have any children, but like any that you're around?
I am happily child free. I don't do well around kids. I stayed with a friend in Costa Rica last year, and she had 2 kids, and I was crazy after a week. I had to go stay in an Airbnb by myself. I don't do well with kids.
Kids see shit all the damn time. Like Grayson and I were in when he was super little, like we were just playing in the bathroom. He was at the age where I can put him up my shoulders, but he could just barely get his arms around my head. And we were playing in the mirror, and we'd done it so many times, and he always giggled and laughed at the baby in the mirror or the fat guy holding him, one of the two. And one time we got up there, and he just looked off to the right and lost his shit. Like he was just screaming that like heart-wrenching screams to where Brittany, my wife, who was working, like I'm a stay-at-home dad currently.
Okay.
She works down in the basement where we are now.
Okay.
She tore upstairs. He was screaming so loud. And there was nothing there. Not a damn thing.
Nothing you could see, at least.
And to this day, though, like, was it a couple of weeks ago, I'm one of the few that can get Grayson down to sleep, like just without him laying there and just fighting for like 2 hours. And I do this because I usually will play some like weirdly 70s funk. Works well.
Right.
So, I'm bouncing around a parliament with a baby, Well, we have a walk-in closet, but it's one of those where you walk and turn left and walk in, and
Okay.
it's always shadowy.
Hmm.
Well, once he was looking at it and he just started waving.
Ah,
And he only waves when there's somebody to wave at.
right.
Today, and this happened today, I was just giving him a bath and I walked out. He looked in the closet, brought up a hand to wave, and then started bawling. Nothing in there. And when I cut on the light, he was fine.
Weird. So weird.
Kids and cats, man. Kids and cats fucking with you because cats will just watch shit walk across the room that ain't there.
Yep. Yep.
It's
I was
definitely-
gonna say
But
I've definitely
yeah,
seen my
any
cats do
other strange experiences you want to share? Because we've gone over me a lot, but I'm going to be in this a lot.
that. Yeah, no, I was just curious because I've been, following you, seeing you post stuff about paranormal stuff for the past few years, and we just hadn't had a conversation about it. It's funny, like I had forgotten that we were talking tonight. Like you texted me and I was like, oh yeah, that thing. Thank God I've got time.
Wouldn't blame you.
What?
I wouldn't blame you if you did forget.
No. I have a lot going on right now. And so, but last night as I was going to sleep, like I could hear like, it almost sounded like a faint radio. It's like there was music playing, but it was so faint that I couldn't make out what it was. But it was just like, I was like, God, I wish somebody would turn that radio off. There was no music at all.
Huh.
And I did kind of get freaked out last night. So it's like my subconscious, I guess, knew I was going to be talking to you. But that kind of stuff is rare. A few years ago, I met somebody who is an energy healer online. And I believe that I believe that psychic stuff does exist. I believe that there are people that have powers and have gifts. But whenever I meet somebody who claims to have these things, I'm like, okay, you're possibly the real deal, but probably a con artist or a crazy person. And so, or possibly a combination. I've met people that were a combination of all three. Like they really did have gifts, but they were also like not as gifted as they thought they were. They were delusional and they also were very manipulative. But this guy, like I had him do some energy work on me and like I legitimately felt different. And I was like, oh, okay. And he taught me like his method of energy healing. And when I tried it, I was like, oh, I kind of got a knack for this. Like I did it for several people and got some really good feedback. And I was like, oh, okay, this is, interesting. Like one of the first things is he was like, close your eyes. And he was like, imagine that you're pulling energy through your body, like from your right side going into your left. And I was like, well, that's kind of crazy, but I tried it and I could feel it. And I was like, okay, that's kind of interesting. And then he was like, okay, now pull energy from your left, to your right. And I was like, oh, wow, I can kind of feel that. So I created like this energy healing session that I called like power reclamation. And basically it's the idea of, when you say like, I put my blood, sweat, and tears into this,
Yeah.
So
That's what I did with a cake of his earlier. He said it
did
was
it taste
salty.
good? What?
He said it was
Oh.
salty.
Blood, sweat, and tears. I would imagine that, yeah, that would be pretty salty. But yeah, the idea being that like there's certain people, places, things, events, projects that we put so much in, it's like we almost leave too much of our energy there, right? And so the idea of this healing session is it's very nice that he would share his bacon.
I know, I was very impressed.
He's being polite.
It's just because the camera's rolling, right? But the idea being is that like you like mentally connect with this person, place, thing, event, whatever, and you consciously take your power back, from it. And so I was doing that, and having like some not anything crazy, but people were like, wow, I feel so much better. I do feel more empowered. I was doing the session on myself. on some things and feeling a lot more empowered. And it really helped my business and helped me like really kickstart with my coaching business and start getting more city clients and everything. But then I had a problem. I'm almost hesitant to bring this up because whenever I do, it's like it comes back to haunt me. So there's somebody that I dated a while back, and about a year after we broke up, he got married to somebody else. And so we were never together at the same time, but she likes to come out of the woodwork and like fuck with me on social media. Like she'll pretend that she's a potential client and like just waste my time.
Now, is this somebody I would know, or is this outside of high school realm?
No, completely outside of high school realm. And so for a long time, like she monitored my blog, she monitored my social media. And there were a few times that I did talk about him, but I did it in such a vague way that nobody in the world would know who I was talking about. I wasn't trying to like slander him, but she would just come at me. And so I was like, I wonder if I can like, maybe there's like ties between he and I that need to be broken, So I was like doing that session, and I connected with like his energy, whatever. And the whole thing was to like break any possible tie that was there, right? Because I don't want to have anything to do with him. I don't think he wants to have anything to do with me either, right? Like there's nothing there. But I was like, why does this woman keep coming at me? And as soon as I like connected to him, just energetically to like, forgive, release, blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden I started hearing this woman's voice in my ear. And like, it was just, and I couldn't understand her, but she was like, it was like, and I was like, bitch, calm down. I'm trying to like end this. And so I did that process on breaking any residual ties with him. And then I also did it with her, and she left me alone for a while after that. But that was weird. That was the first time I'd ever had like an auditory thing, but it's just like, I don't know.
Now, is there a way that you can connect me with Margot Robbie and open up my wife to a three-way?
Probably not.
I thought so.
Probably not. But Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, dear God, those ass and those shorts.
No. I'm gonna say like those are great movies. I don't remember the plots at all, but those are amazing movies. I haven't seen Wolf of Wall Street either, but there's some amazing stills.
Is Margot Robbie in Wolf of Wall Street?
Fully naked.
Really? I've been told by people that know me well that if I tried to watch that movie, it would piss me off too much. So I haven't seen it. I hear it's really good, but I've just been told that it would just piss me off.
I've never seen it.
You should watch it.
Should I? What if I don't want to?
Then don't.
Okay.
The internet's for. Just watch the parts you want to see.
Well, yeah, I'm going to jump off because I have some stuff I need to do this evening, but thank you for having me on. Okay. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Please share with friends, like and subscribe, and join the family.